Sunday afternoon. It's meteorologist Erica Martin with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community, guys. I have not been with you all for the past several days because I unfortunately had a death in my family. My stepfather died, and I've just been so heartbroken. And I didn't know how I was going to handle it, and I definitely didn't handle it very well. So I was mourning, and we still have to lay him to rest. He's going to have a military funeral. He served in the Army, and so we're just so heartbroken. So, my apologies for not getting you guys more updates sooner, but it's been quite a challenging time for my family and for myself. And so I just want to make sure that you all knew that the reason I hadn't gotten more updates to you guys lately is because my stepfather did pass away. And honestly, I'm just so heartbroken. So, again, I will be probably leaving by the middle of this week to attend the services, the military services. So I'm going to do my best now to get the weather updates for you guys because there are a lot of important weather updates happening. We also have a few new team members that we're excited about. So we have an environmental scientist, an environmental engineer from UCLA. We have Anna. She'll be coming in as well, holding it down. She's been having quite a successful past couple of months with her movies, and we're really excited. And we have two new correspondents, so we're excited. Once again, I'm meteorologist Erica Martin with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. And again, thank you guys for understanding why I've been gone for a little while. It's been really painful dealing with the death of my stepfather. Super painful. All right, in the meantime, my stepfather would want me to get started. As he would say, what's the weather like, Erica? So, what's the weather like? Right now, there is a lot happening across the nation. So let's make sure that we're keeping you guys up to date and showing you everything that's happening because it's pretty amazing. We're getting a lot of activity across the northern portion of the nation. So across the northern tier, we're going to get some snow. We're also tracking the atmospheric river. So there is a lot. We'll break these stories down in about 10-minute bites. We'll upload those and then we'll get started again. So this is going to be an overall look at what's happening right now. You can see that we do have our satellite, our radar, and our weather alerts that have been issued, and that's what we're going to go over right now, okay? So let's see if we can get our data sets line up. There we go. This is exactly what I wanted. I actually want to take our satellite off. I mean, it goes without saying where you're seeing those clouds on satellite. We're using the infrared image, and I believe we're using, let me just confirm, because sometimes I change these. Yeah, the global IR at 4 kilometers. So we're going to just take that off quickly because we're going to look mainly at those weather alerts, the watches and warnings, and then of course radar. I'm actually going to pick off the radar as well, and we're going to leave our wind particles at the surface. I'm going to use the ECMWF for 9 kilometers, okay? So you can see that we have a lot of interesting scenarios being set up. I do want to focus, especially for the West Coast here, that we're dealing with the atmospheric river. So in light of all the fires in Southern California, we are going to have another round of major concerns as far as the potential for debris flow and mudslides go, okay? So that is going to be probably my bigger piece of advice to everybody in Southern California in and around the burn scars. Please be aware that we're going to get a good amount of rainfall total starting on Tuesday. The rain starts on Tuesday, okay, in Southern California. The snow, the precip that's going to affect the northern tier of the country, that's already happening, okay? And we'll go through that with our hour-by-hour forecast, but we'll also populate some of these weather alerts. So let's get started here. You all know this one, right? Wind. So this is a high wind warning issued by the National Weather Service. I feel like you guys already know all of the colors and all of the designated alerts, okay? Now, in our Weather Co-op app, we do things a little bit differently, but for sure, we're definitely going to keep you updated with what's happening according to the National Weather Service. We're going to approach it with a 2-tier approach in the app, all right? Let me have my sip really quickly. English breakfast. Okay. So our high wind warning is in effect, and so this is for the Great Basin. Not surprised here because we do have quite a bit of energy that's happening. We've got this long trough that's extending from the Great Basin through the desert Southwest. Additionally, in fact, if I remove this, you'll get a good idea, okay? Let's take the wind profile and let's go to Let's take it to 700 millibars, okay? Actually, let's go to 850. So right here, we're at our 850 millibar height. You can see that there definitely is a very interesting setup there with the area of low pressure, but we also have that trough, elongated area of low pressure. It also looks like we have a threat of thunderstorms right around the Sierra Nevadas. Okay, so we're going to go through that in detail. Let's highlight again these alerts. So we started here with our high wind warning for the Great Basin. We also have our wind advisory. Look at this right here. We know this, right? This is our avalanche warning. Guys, we don't see these, of course, in Southern California, but I used to forecast in the Uintas and in the Intermountain West, and this is one of the scariest alerts you'll ever see, okay? So let's highlight this right now. This is an avalanche warning. Please, if you know anybody who's skiing right now, like if my husband were there right now, I would be like, get off, get off, get off. Like, I don't want you anywhere near. Well, let's see who has it. It's for basically all the higher elevations. So where he would be skiing, right, like the Black Diamonds. So this is definitely, it's an immediate broadcast request. It's an immediate OTT or live stream or over the top request. Avalanche warning. The backcountry avalanche warning by the Forest Service of Utah, Avalanche Center, Salt Lake City. These guys do an amazing job. They are incredible. Relayed by the National Weather Service, Salt Lake City, Utah. They too are absolutely amazing. And the Forest Service of Utah Avalanche Center has issued a backcountry avalanche warning, which is in effect from 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is their local time, until 5:49 a.m. Mountain Time. Okay, so it's going to start, let's see, blah, 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 through tomorrow. Okay, so that's where it's starting. So the forest, in fact, from 6 a.m. Okay, so it started this morning, 5:40 a.m. Through tomorrow, 6 a.m. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. This avalanche warning, it's for the backcountry. So generally speaking, so Jay and I got married right at the top of Deer Valley. It's a place called the Church of Dirt. It's super cool, non-denominational, and basically at the peak of the Wasatch, you can just see like Wyoming, Idaho, Colorado. You can see like clear across that entire like Great Basin, Northern Rockies region. But I will say this, when these are issued, you have to be so careful because these avalanche warnings mean business. These are super duper important alerts. Again, hey, honey, this is our environmental scientist, environmental engineer. So we're actually talking about an avalanche warning. Okay, so we're talking about avalanche warning in the Uintas, so Salt Lake City. That's where Jay and I got married. And this is where a lot of times people, I don't think, appreciate it as much. You clearly see it as well right around the Northern Rockies. But I will tell you, as somebody who lived and forecasted in this area, we have seen really bad events occur. So that's through tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. local time. Very dangerous avalanche conditions are expected to continue through the weekend into early next week. All right. Heavy snow, drifting by strong winds, rising temperatures, and rain at lower elevations have created very dangerous avalanche conditions at all elevations in the backcountry. Dangerous human-triggered and natural avalanches are likely. People should avoid all travel in avalanche terrain and stay well clear of avalanche runouts. Today, you should stay out and off from the underslope steeper than 30 degrees. So that's really just saying steer clear. Okay, at 30 degrees, just steer clear. So it's going to be anything steep, people who have their icon passes, serious skiers. You guys are going to want to be out there. Please don't do it. It's very dangerous. I mean, I've been there. I've seen it with my husband. What these people do it's just amazing. So stay off and out from the slopes. Backcountry travelers should consult www.utahavalanchecenter.org. And these guys do an amazing job measuring, okay? They do an incredible job. Again, Northern Rockies also seeing an avalanche warning. So this is the Colorado Avalanche Information Center. Avalanche warning is in effect from 5 p.m. until 5 p.m. today. So yesterday 5 p.m. until 5 p.m. today. Okay, so we're local time. So right about now. Heavy snow and strong winds will result in very dangerous avalanche conditions and a high level 4 out of 5 danger on Sunday today. The big concern. Wow. Elkhead and Park Mountain. So those are really popular for skiers. So again, anybody that you might know on those slopes, you want to give them a heads up. Expect very dangerous avalanche conditions to develop on Saturday night and last through Sunday daytime. Hi guys, thank you for joining. Large and dangerous avalanches will be very easy to trigger in many places. Avalanches will run naturally. This means that nothing has to happen. Nobody has to touch it. We don't need anybody there. But hey, Rudy. Hi, Rudy. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks, guys, for joining. As I mentioned earlier, I have been in mourning. I lost my stepfather. And so this week I'll be headed to the funeral, but I wanted to give you guys an update before I left, okay? So this is a big concern. Notice how we have the high wind warnings along the northern Rockies, right? So we're having these problems here in Wyoming, Jackson Hole, Casper, all these areas here. This is where we have a compromised terrain as far as the snow is concerned, right? For skiers, please take this advice. This is not to be taken lightly at all. We have our wind warnings, high wind warnings, our winter storm warnings as well, right? This is no surprise here for Idaho, for Montana, for Wyoming, for the northern plains, Great Plains, High Plains, for the Great Basin, Intermountain West, the Sierra Nevadas, this entire region as we zoom on out, okay? For the Pacific Northwest as well, we do have these concerns for winter type weather. Now, this is one that I don't show you too often. We showed you this about 2 weeks ago with those really cold temperatures, right? Those dangerously cold conditions. Here's a cold weather advisory in effect for the East Puget Sound lowlands from 10 p.m. tonight until 10 a.m. tomorrow local time. Very cold temperatures can lead to hypothermia, okay? Make sure you keep your pets indoors as much as possible and make frequent checks on older family members, friends, neighbors to ensure that portable heaters are used correctly and do not use generators or grills inside, okay? Those are really great tips. Let's head on over down the Sierra Nevadas. You can see all of these colorful alerts, including our winter storm warning. We also have a flood watch. So here we're concerned about hydrology in some aspect, right? So hydrology is just the study of water, right? So in this case, it's going to be flood watch. We have major concerns here due to the amount of rain we're going to get because of the atmospheric river, which has essentially kicked off already. And now what we're looking at is what's it going to behave like? Look, here in Southern California, we're going to get rain by Tuesday. And I do think we're going to get moderate to heavy rain at times, okay? The last system that came in, wasn't as concerned. We did see some debris flow and mudslides, but this is going to be a lot more concerning. A, it was because so soon after the other. And B, this is going to be a lot heavier because of the amount of precipitable water. And I'll show you in just one moment. Now let's zoom on out quickly. We have a few alerts here that we also have to get to. So we're looking at some issues along the bayou. We've got dense fog advisories, the southeast as well. And let's take it farther north. Now see what's happening here. Are you looking at this here in the purple? I'll explain that to you in just one moment. This is our winter weather advisory. Why? Because of the following. Hang on, let's clear that up for you guys. Okay, let's add. Remember I took off our satellite? Let's put our satellite back on and let's put our radar back on, okay? So our satellite is our global infrared at 4 kilometers and our rain is fine. Our radar is fine. I don't love it, but it's fine. It's just a 1 kilometer NORAD. Okay, so I'm gonna take off the watches and warnings. And I'm actually going to do something which I shouldn't do. I'm going to just stack the radar in front of the satellite, just because I think it's easier on the eye. Okay, so can you see here? Actually, I'm going to do another thing. The wind particles, I'm going to take them to 250. Okay, it'll start to make sense. You can kind of see how the jet stream, although we should be more at 300. Do you see how the jet stream, how everything is following it? So it's more of a zonal flow, right? So it's the top tier is getting a lot of wintry weather, but then we're going to wait for this out here, okay? You'll see in a minute. All right. Now, what's going to happen here is that we do have a low that's developing in Canada. It's going to move on down and clip the tri-state area and bring some rain, snow, a wintry mix, as well as Adirondacks and northern New England, okay? So keep that in mind. And then we're going to take our wind particles and go back to the surface. Look at those wild winds. This is what I'm talking about, a lot more normal, okay? All right, let's head on down to the next graphic. So here is our atmospheric river, because this is the we're talking about for quite some time. Oh, let me clear this for you guys 1 second. Haha. There we go. There we go. We are, sometimes when I like move the actual program here, like graphics, it gets all weird. So here we're looking at the atmospheric river, and we want to keep in mind that we're going to have a concern for lots of rain by Tuesday into Wednesday, Southern California, okay? So we're already seeing flood watches issued for parts of Northern California, parts just like the Sierra Nevada area as well. So we're just starting to see the concerns for flooding, all right? And we're going to start to see them farther south here in Southern California. So an atmospheric river is a large, narrow, continuous band of moisture, similar to an actual river, but it's in the sky. And what we do see is a giant band of water vapor, on average 200 to 400 miles wide, pushes inland. As the moisture moves inland, mountains force it upwards. And then we have to deal with orographics, right? Anytime we start dealing with that, we're starting to deal with orographics. So remember, anytime we have any type of weather that's going to go over mountains, that's when we start using things like orographics, okay? Kind of important there. And so that's what we're going to be watching again locally here. This is the setup, but I want to show you our current conditions before we get to our futurecast. Right now in San Francisco, we're at 59 degrees. Los Angeles, cloudy, 57, 68 in San Diego, 55 for Gallies. We have Portland in the 40s and Seattle 36. We have some snow in Glasgow along with Billings. Thermopolis, nothing there yet, but don't worry, you're going to get some snow. We have snow in Buffalo, and we have quiet conditions in New Orleans, Jackson, Memphis, Nashville, Louisville, Indianapolis, Roanoke, Charlotte, and there you go. Remember, we just talked about that. Let's go back to our satellite. You see how we added our satellite and our radar? See, we just talked about that. That is that little low that's going to come on down from Canada. It's already making it down. It's veering southeast, and as it does, it's going to clip off the tri-state area, including New Jersey, as you can see here, as far down as parts of the Mid-Atlantic region. Okay. You'll see lots of Pennsylvania getting impacted. So remember that we have the purples and the whites denoting that more kind of winter snow. So the purple would tell me that it's just a little bit more the liquid snow ratio is lighter, so maybe it's like an 8-to-1 or 5-to-1. The bright white, that would probably be more of a 10-to-1 ratio, which means it's like that fluffier snow. And then of course you can see the pink, which would be a little bit of a wintry mix there, rain and snow. And oh yeah, New York, Philadelphia, and New Haven, you guys have your snow. Buffalo snow, and I know, guys, just wait for it in Boston. You guys too will get your snow. All right, let's head on over to our dew point values. We're at 50% in Los Angeles. Now that makes sense. We're seeing a lot of moisture making its way in. As I mentioned, the rain here starts by Tuesday. Let me take a look at one more model. It might come in a little bit sooner. No, I'm happy with Tuesday, later Tuesday in the day. That's when we're going to start to see some rain making it here, and I do think it's going to be a little bit more moderate. We have, let's see, 50% or 50 dew points in the 50s for Redding, San Francisco, 30s for Salt Lake City, St. George, and we've got 20s for Danbury, 40s for Des Moines, Sioux Falls at 10, Billings at 10, Detroit at 20, 40s for Nashville, and 50s for Charleston. And here's a look at our wind profile, including 14 miles per hour for San Francisco, 11 for Nashville and Los Angeles, 17 for Sioux Falls, and we have calmer winds for Green Bay, for Detroit, for Indianapolis, for Baltimore, and for Bismarck. All right, including Whitebird, 4 mile per hour wind speed for you. The current wind chill values, you can see temperatures feel like they pretty much are their actual temperature, and that's because we're not seeing anything crazy just yet, even though, remember, in the Pacific Northwest, we had an area that did have a concern for cold weather advisory. But those winds haven't kicked up enough, okay? They will soon enough. All right. Here is our weather co-op hour by hour forecast. This is where conditions are going to be very important for you to watch with me as we go through this hour by hour. We have paused this. Want to make sure people don't have questions. Hi. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you so much. Tough. Breaking wind. All right. Yes, more rain. That's right. Loving it. You got to be careful though, right? We've got to be really careful because that rain, this is going to be a more moderate, steady, and heavy rain. So it'll be a little, and also because it's going to start later on Tuesday, it'll be one that we have to watch. All right. Let's see what we have over here. Any good questions? Hey guys, we have some good questions over here. Please feel free to share your questions. Okay. So we are back to our, to our hour by hour forecast, and we're going to start this at 6 p.m. CST. So remember, it's CST because it's looking at the middle of the nation. We're going to move this forward and keep this going, and look what happens. Do you see how that precip starts to make it here by Tuesday? And there is quite a good amount. At least through Wednesday, we're tapping into that Pacific moisture. So it's the atmospheric river. And I want to show you something else very quickly before we move ahead to that. Let's see if I left this graphic up here. I may not have. Did I save it? Oh, I think I did here. Okay, I'll show you guys really quickly our rainfall outlook, okay? So here I started this particular graphic into the Pacific, right? So now we're looking in the Pacific and we're like looking into that moisture, what we're tapping into. Some people call it the Pineapple Express. It's the atmospheric river. It is the amount, it's what we're tapping into, okay? As you saw, it's a river in the sky. I always think of that song, that Stevie Wonder song, A Ribbon in the Sky for Our Love. So this is a river in the sky for atmospheric science. Okay, we're going to get this going and look what happens. Zoom on in. Do you see how this moves in by Tuesday, second half of Tuesday? And I do think this will be a little bit heavy at times, or moderate. Let me just use the word moderate at times, okay? But we do have some rain moving across the nation, okay? And then finally, one more. Let's take a look at our expected rainfall totals quickly, and then we'll leave it there, and we'll come back shortly. All right, so as we can see, Northern California, you guys are going to have some major problems when it comes to the potential for any debris flow and anything else as far as mudslides, because you are hovering in that 4 to 4.5 inch total rainfall total. This is a lot. You're getting a lot of rain by Wednesday. Now, Southern California, Central California, the Central Coast, you guys are hovering in this 1/2 inch to about 1.5 inches of rainfall total when it's all said and done. But remember, that's not necessarily what matters. Sometimes it's the amount of rain that you get very quickly in a short amount of time. All right. I'm meteorologist Erica Martin with Weather Co-op, where weather meets community. I'm a Weather Ready Nation ambassador, Skywarn storm spotter, and I am certified by the American Meteorological Society. And we look forward to sharing more information. We'll go ahead and get this uploaded, guys. We hope you have a wonderful